told us the story of how the Biz Journal office used to be just that one big room right behind Chops Deli, like when Chops was there.
Yeah, and I used to park in the Water Street parking deck.
Oh my gosh.
Way back then. So I used to always joke, this is the best parking. We get a waterfront view, and that eventually that was demolished, and now it's a huge condominium and apartment complex. So there's been a lot of transition since then.
I miss Chops Deli. That place was awesome.
It was really good. Yeah, it was. I ate there quite a bit.
Yeah.
It was right around the corner from the Business Journal.
And Craig was joking. He was like, whenever we were like leaving to go have a coffee or like we were meeting somewhere, it's like you were either in trouble or like something was about to happen because it was just one big room.
Oh yeah.
And there was no privacy in that office.
There were some cubicle spaces, but a little privacy.
So we're rolling.
Okay.
So thank you for coming onto the show and agreeing to talk with me. I want to learn about WDI, Wilmington Downtown Inc., and a little about you and the economic development and all the other stuff that you guys are working on. So
thank you for having me.
Yeah. So why don't we start with let's talk about what Wilmington Downtown Inc. is and what its mission is, and start from there.
Sure. Well, Wilmington Downtown Incorporated was an organization that was started in 1977. It first started as the downtown area revitalization effort.
Okay.
It was a unique organization of its time, and since then there have been several such organizations replicated in urban districts and downtowns and many other cities across the United States. And I don't think we were maybe the first per se, but definitely for our area, focusing on economic development, business recruitment, retention, site selection, especially back in 1977. I mean, you think back to the history of downtown, I believe it was the 60s that you had the largest employer, the Atlantic Coastline Railroad, exit the downtown area. And after that move, it was left pretty desolate and became a place just of crime and dilapidated buildings, and the founders of the organization formed DARE as a way to revamp and revitalize the district core. And since then, it's just been a phenomenal growth and change since the 70s. Today, we're very much a similar organization. It's same mission. To perform economic development efforts and be a service to the community. And we have several economic development contracts, one with the City of Wilmington, one with New Hanover County. We also hold the Municipal Services District contract with the City of Wilmington, which is by far our largest contract. So not only are we working to bring in large-scale development projects, revitalizing old buildings, ensuring that our storefronts remain full with tenants and retailers and make sure the turnover is pretty quick. We also work to keep our downtown looking beautiful, and we do that through our ambassadors program. I also have a street outreach worker that continues to connect with the homeless population or in-house population on the streets of downtown to bring them to the various services that are in our community. And so downtown Wilmington is just a phenomenal place, and I have a very just strong passion for everything that it is. If you walk downtown and you see me walking and I'm just taking random pictures of signs and just cracks on the side of the road, or maybe a trash can that had been etched with graffiti, it's just very meticulous attention to the overall vibe and aesthetic of downtown, because it's extremely important when we're attracting visitors and people who want to spend money in our businesses. So overall, the mission is continuous and it's ever evolving, and we've really worked hard to kind of shift a few years ago after COVID from being a concert-driven organization where we would put on the free Friday night concerts. We allowed the business community to take that over and do it on its own, bringing revenue into their storefronts, and instead of selling domestic beer on the streets. So they'd go to an actual brewery and catch a show and spend money there. And internally started focusing on that, going back to our core, which is economic development services.
I learned two things already. The exit of the rail car manufacturer in the, when did you say it was, in the 60s?
Yeah, it was the Atlantic Coastline Railroad. It's you can, if you go to the Railroad Museum, you can learn all about it. And then that was the reason why the rail line came into downtown, or a very industrial waterfront for quite some time. And in fact, the whole north end was labeled as the Almont shipping track. And there are brownfield agreements in place for all of the development on the north waterfront, including the marina.
Yep.
And that's all because it was old industrial land.
That's wild. And so that was the major employer in the downtown Wilmington area at that time. And they just kind of like picked up and left, and
they relocated.
Yep. Interesting. Second thing I learned is I've always gone to the was it Downtown Sundown or the Friday night music. I didn't know that was a Wilmington Downtown Incorporated thing, prior to you guys handing it off.
Yes, it was. It was what we were known for quite some time, and I actually still get emails and phone calls from artists that are wanting to join in, and
that's cool.
I have to fill them in on the news and maybe refer them to a couple places that are holding concerts now. Well,
this is also part of why I'm doing the podcast, because I live under a rock, and it's just it's good to to be able to learn more about the different organizations and really like learning about the history of an organization and how it comes to be is so interesting, because it gives a lot more perspective on like, why are we doing this? I truly didn't know that Wilmington Downtown Inc. started as DARE and was primarily formed because of the rail car relocation.
Yeah, not necessarily just because of that, but
that was like one of the main like catalysts or main drivers for
the main driver was to return business back to downtown.
Got it. Okay.
To keep our historic properties from becoming dilapidated, to exit less than tasteful business out of our downtown community, and usher in much of what we see today, which is small business entrepreneurs, restaurateurs. You can't really find a whole host of national chains or retailers downtown. It's very much driven by the small business community, which is incredible for in downtown. It makes us. It is what makes us unique, and it also is what drives our success, because you have a lot of passionate people that are in one center.
Absolutely.
And everybody is just very focused on keeping the community alive.
Wilmington's got such a great small business community ecosystem, and there's like you said, there's such a good feel about business owners trying to work together to help other business owners and make the community a better place.
Mm-hmm. And you're seeing a lot more of that collaboration between business owners. It's not every man for himself anymore. It's really the prime example of that is what's happened in just the Central Business District alone. You have the Brooklyn Arts District. There is now a group that's formed, just a coalition of business owners that meet almost on a monthly basis, and they talk about issues and create events around their community to drive traffic there. The Brooklyn Arts District is a prime example of what can happen when people can collaborate and work together. Most recently, the Marina District has formed. And this has just been within the last month or so. A new website has come online, and the folks that have redeveloped that marina have reached out to the nearby neighboring communities, or just the retailers and the other properties around, and have generated some camaraderie around the district. And mainly because, North Waterfront, North Wilmington, there's a lot of North in the name, and they just wanted to rebrand and make sure that they stood out among the rest of the downtown area.
Interesting.
So there was this beautiful new website that's dedicated toward the Marina District, and they continue to grow. I know there's potentially quite a few new retailers that are looking at Pier 33 and the metropolitan commercial spaces. So we're slowly starting to see that traction developed as far as retail in the North Waterfront, and it's just, once it's fully complete, it'll be one of the most beautiful parts of downtown. You've got this historic old core district, downtown district core, and then you have this very new, modern, chic area that's, you get the best of both worlds within 6 blocks.
Yeah, definitely. That's super cool. I I attended a leadership conference or workshop downtown in April, and part of the requirements is that we had to stay in a hotel because it's like a really intensive, like, turn your phone off, turn your email off, like you don't go home to your family, you have to stay in the hotel. And so we were in Hotel Ballas. And it was really cool. I was like kind of like a tourist in my own town, because like I don't live downtown. But I'd get up in the morning, like went for a run down the river walk, and then like walk through town, like got a coffee, and I looked at it from just a completely different lens that I would normally do when it's like with my wife and kid going down for dinner. And I was like, this is really special. Like I love this area, and it's so cool what it's turned into. And that's why I love entrepreneurship and small business, because you have the opportunity to change things. Yeah. And organizations like Wilmington Downtown Inc. and what you guys are doing, further supports that mission and and that change. So, what are some of the bigger projects that you guys have been a part of in the past that notable to talk about?
Sure. So, going back to before my time, we started a lot of the older events, the Riverfest and that sort of thing. Fast forward a little bit more, we helped perform a feasibility study on Project Grace, which has led to the current developments that are taking place right now, and working with the county and working very closely with them to see what would be the highest and best use of that site. The county has since decided to move forward with a museum and library component, all under one roof. And including this huge 95,000 square foot Cape Fear Museum and library, and a 60-seat planetarium, along with a minimum $30 million investment in the private side of that development. And you're just going to see this amazing transformation in 1 square block of downtown, which is right along 3rd Street, the main thoroughfare to get downtown. So that was an amazing project that has actually seen some benefit. Today, we're currently working on expanding on our holiday lights pilot from last year. Okay. We finally got the funding and worked through a contract to put lights on the Riverwalk during Christmas last year. And it was a nice attraction during the holidays, especially in the time of year when we start to see business dip and visitorship dip in downtown, and January, February, even into March are pretty hard months on the business community. Just it's cold, and there's not much tourism. And then most recently, we are now working with a consulting firm out of Chicago to do an economic impact study on Live Oak Bank Pavilion, Wilmington Convention Center, and Greenfield Lake Amphitheater. And they will assess the direct and indirect impacts of those venues, and then we'll take all that really valuable data and information through their assessments and roll that into a hotel needs assessment. We'll take a deep dive into our hotel segment, figure out how many rooms do we need, what flags can our market support, what brands can our market support, and maybe take a look at a few sites that might be feasible for hotel development. We do have one proposed or announced hotel development already. I'm feeling there may be some more coming down the pipeline, but to really assess the market needs, you take a look at what the Wilmington Convention Center brings in as far as the convention and large event space. And then you look at what Live Oak Bank Pavilion brings in as far as their concerts, even weekend or multi-day concerts. And there's some capacity issues there when you're trying to find room block rates for the conventions, but you have people, paying market rate for a hotel just to see Dave Matthews play or Fish or whatever. Exactly. Pick the artist. So we want to be able to figure out how the market adjusts to those demands and what can be placed into that capacity that would work well and have all this great information that maybe when interest rates start to go down and development seems a little bit more feasible for folks, we can actually go out and seek a developer. But all that still remains to be foretold. I'm just waiting on this market study to kick off. We've started the interview process. We have a lot of stakeholder engagements, folks like DBA, the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce, Wilmington CVB, the City of Wilmington, New Hanover County, a ton of stakeholder engagement, which is the reason why we picked this particular consultant, is because they were very, they did a lot of in-depth stakeholder engagement in multiple studies that they've done all across the country, even the world. So we're hoping to release the results of that study in November during our Economic Development Series luncheon for downtown. And planning is already on the way.
That's a huge project, and hearing all the names of the organizations that are involved, that's pretty cool to see everybody all on the same boat, trying to accomplish something good for the area.
Oh, absolutely, and it's part of my mission now that I've taken on this new role as president and CEO of WDI.
Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Wanted to make sure that we slipped that in, so definitely.
Is to continue our stakeholder engagement and finding ways in which we can collaborate together to bring about the needs of downtown and provide an agenda or a checklist, if you will, of things that we can accomplish together as a community. It takes multiple organizations to run Wilmington. I mean, you have the Wilmington CVB, you have Wilmington Business Development, who's done phenomenal work in the industrial space and bringing in large employers, of which an appointee sits on our board of directors. And then you have the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce and many other economic development driving groups that really have their own niche, their own space in coordination. And what can I do to help support the chamber? What can I do to help support Wilmington business development? Or what can I do to help support even the airport? Because it's another economic driver for Wilmington. So continuing the collaboration between those entities is at the forefront of one of my goals.
Very cool. How this project and feasibility study that you guys are doing for the hotel, how does something like that get started, and who is it? A bunch of people kind of saying the same thing, like, "Hey, we need more hotel space," and then finally, people start talking about it, and then organizations start to support it, and then you get people together, and then it's like, okay, let's organize a legitimate project and stakeholder team, or how does that come to be?
Well, for this particular project, we were taking a look at our overall budget with our executive committee and board of directors. I have a 37-member board of directors from.
Your board of directors is 37 people?
It's 37 people.
Holy smokes. It's a lot.
It is, but I love my big board. Everybody has great insight and makes contributions in their own way.
That's cool.
Not necessarily monetary contributions, but connections, networks, ideas, facilitating the growth and direction of the organization in various ways. But we were taking a look at our budget and set aside a certain amount of funding for a special project. And in looking for special projects, one thing that I'd always wanted to do was to do an economic impact on Live Oak Bank Pavilion, and because it's never been done before. And going in and doing some research, I figured that there had never been an economic assessment of the Wilmington Convention Center. And so I was thinking, well, why don't we take this on? And I approached Amy Beatty at the City of Wilmington about it. And she's like, Christina, I just wrote this into our economic strategy for hospitality.
No way.
And the timing couldn't have been more perfect.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting with all the powers that be, and I explained my idea, my goals in achieving these strategies for the city, and then tacking on the Greenfield Lake Amphitheater and the Convention Center along with Live Oak Bank Pavilion, and additionally tacking on the hotel needs assessment, because we've been hearing amongst the facility, at least through the Wilmington Convention Center, that we need more hotel rooms for these conventions. There's conventions, needing hotels and book hotels as far as Leland, or events that are coming in downtown that book as far as Charlotte. And how can we better serve our downtown market? So we packaged it up. I wrote a very lengthy request for proposals, sent it out, got 5 back, narrowed it down to one amazing firm. All of them were amazing, really, the national firms.
Yep.
And here we are. We've kicked it off last month, and it's going to be conducted now until September. So I will say we're fulfilling one of the City of Wilmington's strategic goals around hospitality and economic development through this study. But we're also going to be utilizing this data to support the Greater Downtown Area Plan that's now underway. So the City of Wilmington has hired their own consulting firm to assess the 1945 incorporated limits of the City of Wilmington, and developing strategy behind the downtown, the Greater Downtown Area, similar to the former downtown plan. And then the New Hanover County Tourism Authority, or Wilmington CVB, is embarking on a study to do a 10-year master planning effort on tourism. And so all of these strategic planning and collaboration, ways to collaborate with all these different studies are taking place now. And so it's really exciting for me to be a part of these goals and missions, both for the city and for New Hanover County, and be able to give them a little bit of information from us that will help further and work in tandem with the studies that they are doing as well.
I love that. Just happened to have an idea that aligned with something that was in the strategic plan for the City of Wilmington, and then also aligned with the needs that you're hearing from the convention center. Sounds like that came together pretty well.
Yeah, it really did, and it came from idea to, wow, this is going to really benefit so much more than just a single study for WDI.
Oh, for sure.
And that's part of the collaboration that I'm speaking of. If we're not engaged with our other stakeholders out there, or other civic partners, we're not going to be able to facilitate a lot of the growth that we're seeing quite as well as if we are collaborating. So this is great. It's been a great way to collaborate with our groups.
Yeah, and having a hotel in Wilmington, let's say additional hotel rooms in Wilmington. Yes, that supports people being able to stay closer. But now all of a sudden they're going to the restaurants in downtown. They're going to the cafes. They're going to the bars. They're going to the retail shops, as opposed to getting in a car and driving 30 or 40 minutes and getting Grubhub or whatever ordered to the hotel room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The ripple effects are tremendous.
Yeah.
When you talk about economic development, especially in urban environments and downtown streetscapes, you're looking at, okay, well, not only does this benefit the convention, but it benefits the business community that's out there.
Absolutely.
And not only does it benefit the business community, but it also supports our tax base. And that's a huge driver.
That's huge.
The air is our friend, and you can go up pretty far downtown. I think it's 240 feet is the max height limit downtown. Density is our friend, and we can raise the tax base by having more dense developments that take place.
So from an economic perspective, that makes all the sense in the world to me. What would be the cons? What are, when you do a study like this and, other input from other people, what's the negative impacts of, for example, a hotel getting built somewhere downtown?
I wouldn't say there would be many negative impacts. I mean, there would probably be some people that would disagree.
Right.
I don't really see many negatives of a full-scale hotel development effort and taking place on a site that's been empty for many, many years. However, it will come with some challenges. Parking, for instance. We're doing really well in our parking right now. The city just purchased, along with the Thermo Fisher property, 1,000-space parking deck. And that has opened up so many avenues in terms of venue parking, event parking, and the like for people who want to be downtown, along with the street parking and all of our other parking decks. I see that as maybe a challenge or a hurdle to overcome. And then, as far as the development, we need more retail space. And so if there is ever an opportunity to include retail space in a development, I understand putting that into a development contextually would be a little bit challenging to work that out. But I have people that are really excited about downtown, that really want to be downtown, but I have no place to put retailers right now. It's in a 98% occupancy rate. And as soon as a property goes up, somebody else moves in. So it's so fast paced.
So when we talk about downtown Wilmington, what does the, from like looking at the streets, what is the boundary of what downtown Wilmington is? Like from, north front, I don't.
Yeah, so traditionally it's been bridge to bridge, water to Fourth.
Water to Fourth. Okay, bridge to bridge, water to Fourth. Cool.
Yes,
like
in some sort of outlined way. If you can look at a parcel map, and if you want to go parcel by parcel, it starts up really large at the north end, and then kind of tapers off and gets a little bit narrower as you get down to the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge. So that's generally what is known as the Central Business District. And then you have the breakup of the Central Business District with the downtown core, the north end, which is now forming as the Marina District. Our North Waterfront District is what it's known as in the Greater Downtown Area Plan, and then you have the Brooklyn Arts District and North Side.
Got it.
So there's several districts carved out into the Central Business District, but recent developments have kind of changed our perspective of what downtown is.
That's where I wanted to go.
And,
right? Perfect. Yeah. So tell me. Yeah.
And this is all what the Greater Downtown Area Plan is trying to factor in. First started with the Castle Street district. It was the Castle Street Arts and Antique District. You were having retailers go in, business owners go in, and setting up shop on Castle Street. It's had its ebb and flows over the years, but it's continuing to grow. Even to this day, there's new businesses that are coming in. And then you go into the South Front District with Tribute Properties and Mark Maynard redeveloping the old Wilmington Housing Authority site, creating these one-bedroom, beautiful urban industrial apartments, and then going in and building out Satellite, and then Benny's Big Time Pizzeria, and bringing in True Blue Butcher and Barrel, or
Yeah, it's butcher and barrel.
Yeah, and then you have all the other retailers that are
Yeah.
along that.
Yeah, with
that
like,
track.
and then there's like the cargo container, like on the back, not the cargo district, but even on the backside.
On the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got multiple residential units on top of commercial,
Yep.
and it just makes this really great mix and vibe that people absolutely
I
love.
love it. That's one of my favorite places to go. I love that area.
And it's not too far from Greenfield Lake Amphitheater, so
No.
it's a great place to stop by and grab a drink after a
Totally.
concert. And then here recently, we've had Mr. Smith, developer over at the Cargo District, come up with this amazing idea to use shipping containers within his development. Purchased pieces of property that had been vacant and wrapped with barbed wire fence for many, many years, and just started tackling one piece of property one by one. And today he's building a huge food court and expanding some other opportunities in Cargo West. It's becoming so big he's had to have two sides, Cargo East and Cargo West, for it. Yeah.
Where's the food court?
The food court is going to be off of 15th Street, where
Okay.
15th meets Queen Street.
Okay.
And I'll have to show you a picture after
Yeah.
we're done here. It's stacked containers.
Okay.
Beautiful patio right up front, running along 15th Street. And actually, I was driving past there today, and they were digging a hole in the middle of the street, probably putting in a water line or some sort of utility line at this point to serve that portion of his development.
Yeah.
But he's literally transformed this lifeless land in a desolate neighborhood and completely revamped what people think and of that area of town. And now it's this really hip, trendy place to go on weekends.
It
Or
is
even
very,
during the week, I
yeah.
grab coffee there all the time.
Yeah.
And then you moving over to the Soda Pop District, Andy Hewitt and AC Hewitt Development, formerly Paris Stream, is now completely finished with the Bottle Works building site. That moved extremely quickly, and I don't know what. I know you've got some things going on out there too, and it's all really exciting.
Super exciting.
When I first joined WDI back in September of 21, I believe, we actually walked through that property when it was just an old factory. And today you walk through it and it's this beautiful space that has a ton of life, and you've got a mix of light manufacturers, warehouse users, distributors, a great host of retail, coffee shop, bowstring, brew yard, and just a number of other things. So the expanse of the downtown area and the greater downtown area has really been transformed by few people that have a vision and a passion and the willpower to continue these huge developments. And I'm so thankful for our development community, because they've just been tremendous in investing and transforming these old neighborhoods. And so with this downtown area plan, all that will soon be incorporated into this overall master planning effort for the downtown area. Not master planning, but an outlook, a vision of what we'd like to see happen, and maybe some goals around that. I know there's still a lot of work to be done.
Definitely. There's a lot of opportunity still.
There's a ton of. There's even opportunity in the downtown core.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got infill projects and revitalization projects that need to happen. I'd really like to see a few key properties, especially on Front Street, move. And working really hard to try and take a look at the various sites and see what we can do to encourage either sales or new retail to go in or something. It's my greatest fear that if a lot of these older properties continue to remain vacant and unattended to or redeveloped in some sort of way, that we'll start to lose our historic character. You'll see a lot of these older buildings be demolished.
I know.
And that's part of the charm of downtown Wilmington.
Absolutely, it is. My wife and I, we were in Greenville, South Carolina this past weekend, and we were just kind of walking through the downtown, and they've got a cool historic old feel, and we were just talking about, and I was actually talking with Natalie English as well, and I didn't realize, but the Chamber did an inner city visit there in 2018. And so, we went to Greenville, and I was talking with Natalie about it, actually it was yesterday, and she was telling me, she's like, yeah, we actually did an inner city visit there, and as Natalie and I were walking, my wife Natalie, when we were walking through, Greenville, we were like, wow, there's so many similarities to Wilmington. There's also some differences, but that was one of the things that we really pointed out is, I think what Greenville has done, pretty well is they have a lot of really cool historic buildings that they've done a really good job of maintaining. And I think Wilmington has done the same as well. But to your point, like you said, if we don't continue to do that, losing the character and the history of a town is, once it's gone, it's gone. I mean, truly, I love some of those the old brick buildings. I don't know what it is. I just get really excited about an old building. I can't explain it in words. I don't know, but I think a lot of people do. A lot of people truly love walking through an old building because you can kind of feel what used to be there to a sense, and it gives you a little bit more connection to the town and what the history is, and yeah, it's just kind of like a cool thing.
Yeah, it is amazing to see. There's one particular property owner that has come in downtown recently at 21 Market Street, and they just won a historic preservation award through the Historic Wilmington Foundation, and spent a tremendous amount of money getting that building back up to par.
Which building is it?
21 Market Street.
What cross street is it on?
It's right on Market. It's at the foot of Market Street.
Oh, okay. Oh, right on. Okay.
Yeah, kind of right across the street from where Killen's is.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
And they put a whole lot of love into that building, and it really was a labor of love.
That's
and
cool.
It looks beautiful, and it's currently being renovated right now for a new tenant. And I am really excited to share it whenever we're able to. But it's been tremendous to watch them from conception to now undergoing another transformation inside for a tenant that they had intended to come in. So those small revitalization projects are happening again through passionate people who love the area and want to see it grow. So it's just really amazing to watch and see and be able to facilitate connections and be there alongside of these folks while they're doing it.
Yeah, I feel like the project that I have going on, I feel like first of all, I've never done this before, so I don't know what the correct way to do it is, but it was just like I was telling you, an opportunity just came up and it seemed like a good opportunity. We said yes. Now we're 8 months into the project. I was like, I should probably start talking to people about what the goal and what the vision and what the plan is. And having talked with you, I felt pretty good that it was. Now I feel good. It's I think it aligns pretty good with the overall idea of being able to preserve part of Wilmington, but also take care of making sure that it'll be there for the long term as well.
Oh, absolutely. And what you've done so far is absolutely amazing. It's really neat to see people's ideas and just the visions of architects that transform these old buildings into better use is pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see it when it's done.
Me too. So the reason I say that is, what would be the ideal process for it's hey, I have an idea, a plan, a vision. I want to make it come to life. Before I just go and buy the property and start drawing up plans and stuff like that. What are some of the steps I should take? Who are some of the people I should talk to in town?
Yeah, so usually the first steps are to talk to the city planning and zoning to ensure that the property and your use meets the proper zoning. Sometimes you run into hiccups along the way. Your business may be zoned for it, but something you want to do within your business may not be zoned for what you want to do. There's some business examples out there that I could tell you at some point, but it's really a matter of taking a look at your business plan and what you want to bring, and having those conversations and looking at the land development code and see how this fits. And if it doesn't fit, what can we do to make it fit?
Right.
And that always takes a long process. It's very it's very systematic. There's red tape that you have to go through, and rightfully so, on purpose. The city has protections against these sort of things. But when I get approached by someone who has an idea, who has a vision, I usually try and connect them with the city first, speak to them a little bit about their ideas, and try and see how we can help make those connections in order to make that fit for our community. And it just takes time. But I encourage anybody who has an idea for downtown to come into my office or give me a call to see what we can do to make sure it fits.
Yeah, that's it seems like a pretty good first step.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and I say I didn't think about anything, but I guess we did. I did indirectly, because we had an experienced architect who's done a bunch of stuff downtown. And the general contractor is, again, someone who's done projects downtown, and they did go through the zoning and the planning, and they knew of it. But for me, it was more of just I guess I didn't really know much about it. So I've been learning a ton through this process.
Yeah, and there's a lot of folks that they work a lot downtown, and having a team like that to help you through the project is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's so funny how just the connection of people in the community. I was walking, I had Sandy Thorpe, who's one of the partners on Paris Stream that did the development, and him and I were walking through the building, I think the day or before you, and he's like, oh, you should talk to this guy, Brian Christoph. Do you know Brian? Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, yeah, cool. And he's like, yeah, he's done some stuff like this before. And so I reached out to Brian, and he was super nice, and we met at Ibis for coffee, and took time out of his day, and we go and we start walking through the project. And he's like, I was telling him about it. He's like, one, this is awesome, I love it, and two, did you know that I actually already had a plan that he did with Robert Rosenberg way back in the day that was not exact to what we're doing, but we're just going to do a co-works thing there. And I was like, no way, man, this is too funny. And it's just amazing, just the community and the people that have been involved. And so now it's like, hey, he's gonna probably help me with some ideas and some of the stuff that they were working on, and learn. I really want to learn more about the history of that property, because I really don't know anything about the building.
Oh.
And so I would love to learn more, because I would love to create a story. I love the storytelling part, right? It's here's what the building was, and here's what it is now, and telling a cool story. If I wanted to learn something about an old building in Wilmington, where would I start?
The New Hanover County Archives.
Okay.
Or you can go to the Historic Wilmington Foundation, or I have a side volunteer gig that I do with the Public Archaeology Corps, and
you were telling me about the archaeology
there's a ton
stuff,
of historians that are on site excavating or working in the lab. And so if you ever want to come out on a Saturday and speak to some of those folks, you'll definitely get an earful.
Oh, I bet. They're just chomping at the bit to tell you about stuff.
Oh my gosh, their knowledge is so vast. And I mean, they spent their entire lives studying some of the history of Wilmington, just Wilmington in general, not specifically downtown. And we're getting a lot out of the site in Quincelli that we're digging in right now, and they're able to look at things, and they will pull stuff up and start telling the story of the site, or this may have happened at this time, and this is what this, I mean, it's just incredible what they're able to dig up.
That's so cool. Yeah, I need to get connected with those groups because and that's what's also, so cool about entrepreneurship and development and small business is that you have people that truly have a vision. They want to make their city, their town, a cool place to be. Obviously, there's economic incentives for a lot of developers, right? But the socially responsible aspect of development, of like, hey, this is a good investment. We can make a good return on this investment, but at the same time, it is a huge benefit for the community or the town, from a tax base, from giving people a place to work, giving people a place to live. I don't really know where I was going with that. I'm starting to ramble at this point.
Well, I mean, or to dine and shop.
Yeah.
Just economic centers, hubs for folks to come and converse and enjoy life and, build up this great quality of life that we all enjoy in southeastern North Carolina. I mean, obviously you have the coast, you have the beach, but you also have this beautiful gem that is downtown, and it's come a long way. Yeah. And it has, there's much more to do, but it's right along the river, and it's just a place where you can actually go in and truly enjoy some small businesses and speak to the owners, speak to the chefs. I mean, there's people down there that genuinely love interacting with the consumer base that comes down there, and it's a great place to work.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for the work that you've done and the stuff that your organization is doing, and thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast and share some knowledge. And I guess I would like to end, if people are listening and they want to get in touch with you or they have some ideas, what's the best way for people to reach out and find you and get in touch?
Yeah, they can contact me via email. It's Christina, Christina, at wilmingtondowntown.com.
Okay.
Our website is wilmingtondowntown.com, and all
Cool.
my contact information is on there. And we have a phone and emails and a system. It's all the typical stuff that any organization would have. We are a limited staff. It's just myself and one other full-time employee that helps run the organization. I've got 2 phenomenal interns from the UNCW Cameron School of Business.
Awesome.
And they're helping me this year with some things. We've developed a new interactive map that features the parking decks and also all the businesses downtown, the trolley stops, the bus stops, where the bathrooms are. It's pretty incredible. It's been in development for about a year now, so I'm excited to launch that.
And those were interns that were helping you do that from UNCW?
No, we contracted with a company to help develop this, and it's been a long process.
It's been a long,
But it's looking really good. The interns are helping me flesh out some of the details of it.
Nice.
And so we're probably going to release a little bit of news on that coming in August. We've got a lot of plans for our Bring It Downtown campaign this year, and just continuing on the mission.
Awesome. We'll keep up the good work and look forward to doing some work with you on my project in the coming months as well. So
I'm very excited about that.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.